Okay, so I just wanted to recap. Had a big weekend, a lot of things right in a row. Big week. I haven't done a video talk in a while. Frankly Fabulous video diary. I don't know. So I did the I don't know. Maybe that was... I did the Frankly Fabulous character at my reading on Thursday. I wore the suit. I wore the Wilson hat. It was kind of insane. So I want to talk about that and just kind of dissect that. I think it went well. It was definitely having the suit, which I haven't worn really since 2016 that much. And then the Wilson hat. I don't know. I was feeling emotionally... I just had a hard week emotionally. That kind of came out of nowhere. And wasn't... I don't know. It's hard to say how significant, because a lot of it was just social media crap. You know, like being high, being on social media, posting things. And, well, promoting this event. This reading Thursday. I mean, KGB Bar. It's a big deal. It's a literary institution. And, you know, it's the only chance I'm ever going to have to read at KGB Bar. I mean, I've lost the open mic there 3 times. They just don't like... I don't... KGB Bar. I don't know. A lot of my... It's weirdly been a significant part of my life. But I never really do that well at KGB Bar. It's not really my crowd, I don't think. But you know, we really... Because my friend who booked it is from out of town. She was just in town, and she just went after it. She got it, but she didn't really know a lot of people here. And she's working. She was working even though she's staying here. She didn't necessarily have a lot of time to promote it. That was just kind of on me. She booked the event. Thank God she asked me to do it, which, shout out to her. Thank you for doing that. I mean, nobody ever asked me, and here's why. I mean, you'll watch the video. This is sort of an introduction maybe of sorts to the... I'm going to post the actual video, because it was like a live stream. That was part of the joke. I was just trying to do this live, essentially, and then incorporate my reading into that and sort of talk about... I kind of went overboard on the gentrification thing. That was my mistake, I think. I mean, I wanted to read a long piece, and so I read my long piece about the West Village, which is kind of corny and cheesy, and it's like 7 minutes long. And I was kind of repeating a lot of... Not repeating, but just it was a lot of the same sentiment. And the energy was kind of weird. Like because of the clothes, like putting that suit on, you do kind of get in character. And I got in like loudmouth, holy smokes, Frankly Fabulous character, which I don't really do on my show. My show is much more like polite. I think I don't know, the heel came out. You know, I was trying to be antagonistic a little bit because I was feeling wounded, I think, emotionally. Just because I invited a lot of... So, you know, I really did a big push to get the word out for this. And I've been bad about reconnecting with my friends. I do have to say, like, I'm in a weird place right now where just, like, everybody hates me for some reason. I don't even know why. Like, my neighbors and shit were giving me weird energy today when I was coming home. It's like, sorry, I don't know. Maybe, is it because I'm high all the time? Like, I'm just, like, at odds with so many people in my life for just stupid reasons. And it's more just like the disconnect of the fucking pandemic. Like, the pandemic, I feel like, has oddly, like, made people further apart. I mean, maybe that's obvious, but the idea was it was supposed to kind of bring people together. But I do feel like a little bit like everybody's pissed at me. And for petty reasons. It's like, Jesus Christ, has this not taught us anything? Like, we should love one and do and let's be friends. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just my ego's huge. That's something I'm coming to terms with, is my ego is just like massively huge. And also just the fact that what the fuck am I even doing? I mean, do I have any talent in this at all? Like, what am I mean, so this was my attempt to do like a club. I was trying to be Lenny Bruce. I don't know. It was just weird Ohio energy. I didn't know what to fucking read. I spent the whole week getting ready. Like I said, my friend is from out of town. She doesn't know anybody in New York at all. And so I didn't really invite people. I didn't do a Facebook invite or any shit, but I made flyers and I posted them on fucking Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything. You know, I saturated it, the awareness, you know, I tweeted about it. And I made flyers that, of course, nobody really liked that. In my trademark lo-fi Sharpie black and white style that nobody fucking cares about or gives a shit about. And I don't know. I made them in an hour. I did it right here in this chair on Friday night. I think it was Friday night. Who knows anymore? I don't know. My brain is melted. My life is melted. I'm trying my best. Now that Trump is gone, the political thing, I don't know. Like, I was very outspoken about this. Basically, my reading was just about what I've been doing for the last 3 months, which is what my book is about, City Life. It's just about walking around the West Village, basically, and kind of talking to ghosts. That was something this guy mentioned at the reading the other night. Just, he talks to ghosts every day. I don't know. That's kind of what I do. So I wanted to bring that out. I don't know. The idea was I was trying to be kind of like a funky New York character, like something you'd see in the East Village before. You know, like some real kind of weird, edgy shit. Sort of like what I saw when I first came here at the marathon and elsewhere. You know, like I was in drag. I was in character. It was like and it kind of came out in an unexpected way. You know, I was really nervous the whole week. And not even, I mean, you tell yourself, oh, I'll be fine, like, I'm not nervous, I'll just go out and it'll be no big deal. And then, but like just my body was literally just like, my stomach was tight and, I just felt tension and just like anxiety, butterflies the whole week, literally Sunday, because this is a big deal. I mean, KGB bar, and like when we were talking about, my friend and I, about the poet from LA, about doing this event, we were like, oh, should we do an open mic? Should we get more people? I mean, should I have gotten 4 people to do it and do 10 minutes each or 15 minutes-ish each? Like, I just thought, let's just fucking go for it. Like, you booked it. Maybe that was selfish. There are people that I probably could have asked, but it felt like I could have asked people that I was at the open mic at KGB earlier, and I probably should have done that. But I just didn't want to repeat the earlier event. And I thought, she's in from LA. She has a reading series out there. She's in New York. I thought, this is like her East Coast reading. This is KGB bar. The fucking poetry readings, they always have 2 people. Like the really serious, like Monday night, it's always 2 people, and they get to stretch a bit. And so I thought, let's do that. We never get the fucking chance to and it was selfish, of course. I wanted to read for 20 minutes. And I read for 27 minutes. Which was sort of like a mini-sode of this. This I talked for 2 hours. And I tripped up. I had a few Freudian slips. I said some shit where I maybe revealed too much. I said I like explaining things, which I suppose is true. That's not really the point I was trying to make. It was more about, because it sounded too much like mansplaining, And my reading was, I don't know, kind of toxic maybe in a way, because I don't know, like, just coming out of Ohio, listening to all this Theme Time Radio Hour, all this Delbert McClinton, and I was trying to be, like, a little tough. I was trying to be, like, kind of street and, like, punky and, like, that was my armor, I think, because, like I said, I felt like I'd been wounded from all this social media stuff, because I just put the word out, I put my like I said, I went around, so I got my printer, I got a fucking scanner on my phone. These fucking scanner apps are miraculous. You can just take a picture of anything and scan, email it to your computer, and print it right out. So that's what I did. I made flyers. I hung them up. I think I talked about that in a previous episode. I hung them up in the West Village, Bleecker, West 4th, Christopher Street and 7th Ave, McDougal and 3rd, I think. Mercer Street Books, and then the East Village, and et cetera, et cetera. And it worked, I think, because none of the people I invited showed up. The only one of my friends that showed up was Eli. Eli came in big for me on this. I really couldn't believe it, actually. Like, he supported it so much. He shared it. He came out. Love Eli. Love you, Eli. Thank you. Thank you for, I mean, none of my poet friends came out at all. Which, you know, it's weird because I'm looking at it like this is kind of what I wanted when I started in show business. Like, I think it's really weird that, like, you lean on your friends to come to your gig. It's like, no, you're supposed to have a fucking audience. You know, people that come to your event, you're not supposed to know them. They're the audience. You know, they're that, I don't know, not like to condescend in any way, but like, you know, if you're an entertainer or whatever, it's like people come to the show to hear poetry. They come to the show to hear music or whatever. And so it's like if every gig you play is your same 5 to 10 of your actual friends, that's not really a fucking. You could be doing that at your house. I mean, your friends, like, they're going to support you no matter what, you know, like, if you have a gathering of, so like this, I didn't know who the fuck was going to show up, honestly. I thought a few of my friends kind of reached out, and, like, I definitely could tell people saw it on social media. Not everybody liked it, per se, which was painful. That's what I mean, the emotionalness of the week, just like the nerves, trying to figure out what the fuck I was going to do. Working so hard to, like, just put it together, you know, and then just the social media manipulation. This is why I don't fuck with Facebook or Instagram, because it's just too emotional for me. To post shit, first of all, it's like self-promotional. It's like I don't really like doing that, but it's the most visibility. Like I said, I went out and put flyers up in real IRL on polls and shit. Most of them were gone. On the way to the reading on Thursday, I think I put them up Monday night. When I went to the reading on Thursday, only one of them, or I think maybe 2 of them, were still up. The one on West 4th Street, miraculously, was still up. And then the one on Bleecker and First was still up. Which there were a bunch I didn't check on, but at least 2 or 3 of them were gone. Which, hey, maybe people thought they were cool and took them or something. Or maybe just the cops ripped them down. I really don't know. But, point being, with Instagram, with Facebook, with whoever, you're getting more visibility, theoretically. You're getting more impressions. More people are seeing it. I don't know if that's true. I think people actually did see these flyers and come out because of the flyers. And nobody came out from Facebook or Twitter or any of that shit, except my friend Eli. He brought his roommate, who he's staying with, his friend, who was super cool. And then there was Hannah. And then my new friend, who I've been seeing, came out as well. And then literally everybody else in the bar, I had no fucking clue who they were at all. And at first, there really weren't that many people. You know, like, I think I showed up around 7. And, you know, at 7:30, there was literally, you know, 6 or 7 people in the room. Eli, you know, his friend, Hannah, me, and then like a couple of other random, and we just thought those people were just there. We didn't know if they were there for the reading or what. And then sort of miraculously, we just kind of got started. I don't know. They told us if they didn't sell $300 in bar tab during our time from 7 to 9, then they would charge us $300 to rent the room, which I didn't know. They didn't tell my friend that in advance, and I didn't know that. So we're thinking, oh my God, like, are we going to have to pay $300 to, like, claim that we've read at KGB? Like, this is going to be bad. This is going to be pathetic. Like, you know, I mean, I busted my ass. I did everything I could except, I mean, it was too late to like personally contact people. And to be fair, I mean, some of my friends were out of town. Some of them have to work and shit. Like I said, I don't really want to like prey upon my friends. I do want people to come out who are just poetry listeners and poets and I mean, living in Manhattan, that's one thing I did tell my friend before we did it. Is like New York, the thing about New York is it isn't hard to get people because there's a lot of people here and they're all here to like go out and do shit. So like, you know, when I did parties and shit, it was pretty, or even the readings at Muchmore's, you always feel like, oh my God, nobody's going to come out. I'm going to be reading to a room of like literally like 5 people. It always feels that way because that's how a lot of gigs are with bands. Readings, I don't know. I've never really failed to get like 20 people generally. And I didn't count, but there was 20 to 30 people there, I'd say. And they were poets. I saw people writing in notebooks and shit. I was like, yeah, these people are artists. Like, this is perfect. These are, you know, this is a great setting. These are the you know, this is what we're doing this for, just for like listeners and people who want to, you know, consider abstract alternative, you know, grammars and syntaxes and thoughts and so right before the reading starts, we're just like, oh my God, there's nobody fucking here, nobody's ordering anything, you know, there's a table full of people, they've got one drink, like I guess let's just do it, fuck it, we're here. And then so I introduced my friend and I didn't overdo, I don't know, I kind of just the introduction of her was just, I just kind of read her thing. And so as soon as she started reading, it was like a miracle. As soon as she started like doing her first poem, all of a sudden all these people come in the room. Almost like they were waiting. Almost like it was on cue. Okay, now go. And they come in and they sit right in the table, right in the front. You know, the whole room is suddenly full of people. 20 or 30 people, like I said. Just as soon as she started reading, I guess that's what they were waiting for. I don't know where the fuck they came from. I guess maybe they were outside smoking. And she did great. I mean, she really deserved to do a fucking feature. You know, like I said, she's in New York. I mean, we went back and forth about doing an open mic because she does an open mic at her series. I do an open mic at my series. And, like, I was kind of just telling her, like, let me vet it a little bit. The only reason I do an open mic at all is to get people to show up. You know, the idea being if you don't necessarily have fans or whatever, you can get a lot of people who want stage time to just be in the audience. So you book it like it's an open mic. But I also wanted it to be like, first of all, I wanted us to be able to get like, it's different when you have an open mic. It kind of gets lost. The feature kind of gets lost, to be honest. Like, a lot of open mics will have a featured reader, but like, and that's cool. That's a cool way to do it. But it's not the same as just like you have 2 readers and that's it. Like, that kind of clarifies the statement. Like, this person did this person did this, that was the evening. It's not like, oh, there was all this other stuff too that kind of like takes a little of the attention. You know, like it's more kind of declared. And so I wanted to vet it a little bit. I didn't just want a bunch of weirdos to show up and like, because it's KGB bar. It's not necessary. Like our Muchmore's thing, that was an open mic, but that was also vetted. That was like people that were good poets that I knew as friends would come out and they'd want to do the open mic or whatever. So I thought, if I had friends that came that wanted to read that I was like, oh, they're good poets, I'd put them on. So I thought that's was kind of our discussion beforehand was like, well, do we want to do an open mic or not? And I didn't recognize anybody, and I saw a lot of, people writing in notebooks and stuff, and it was like, okay, let's just do us, and then if people bring up the open mic or something, then we'll like have to deal with that question. But like, this is our featured reading, KGB bar. It's like, it's just another event that the night before was like a serious thing. A lot of the New York Tyrant, the Giancarlo Di Trepano guy, his like tribute reading was at KGB. And a lot of the kind of alt-lit people go to KGB and hang out, and writers hang out there. Poets hang out. That's, at our reading, there were just kind of poets and after that came in to just, sit and it felt like, a salon or a convivial kind of, cafe. So, I don't know. And it's a cool interior. It's communist. So, Comrade Fabulous felt right at home there. And I don't know. So Hannah did great because her work is just very matured. It's really properly marinated and like the lines all work. They're funny, they're profound, the images are interesting and and she does a lot. I mean, she does a lot of like smart writing groups and workshops and things, and she's very serious about it. So she works her stuff over until it's really well done, and like the audience loved it. She did great. I was so fucking thrilled, and I felt like, yeah, you deserve a feature set. This is, like I said, you live in LA. You're on the East Coast. This is your showcase while you're here. Like, I think she totally knocked it out of the park, honestly. It was awesome. And the audience loved it. And then we took a short break while I went and I smoked shitloads of weed real fast. Like I said, I don't know. There was just all this drama, and I wasn't really that nervous, but I go out there without a net. I don't have a plan at all. I mean, with this, I knew. So I spent the whole fucking week, like Sunday, Monday was all about those flyers, printing the flyers, going out, drawing the flyers, printing the flyers, hanging them up. That's what I did the whole fucking day. And then, meanwhile, I'm like typing shit because I have all my notebooks, right? And I'm like, well, I want to just read from my notebooks, but I also want to have the pieces organized so I'm not just like looking through my fucking notebook during this reading. Like, so I'm just like, I got caught up because I just started to type shit because I thought, let me put a book together for this occasion. It's about time I put a new book together. My last book was November, December writings, so I kind of needed to put a new book together, and I had a lot of good stuff in these notebooks and now I have finally, like I said, I mentioned a few times, I finally have a fucking word processing program. So, like, I was actually able to put the shit together, type it up and format it, and, and this one, I actually drew a cover for, which I've never done before. Well, I didn't draw it for it. These were just drawings I had in my notebooks that I did, out and about in the city. And I scanned them in using this fucking tiny scanner app. And they fucking turned out really well. I think that's why people saw it and were like, wow, that book looks real. Because the cover, I mean, the cover looks great, actually. I really can't believe it. I should have did covers for all my books, but so I spent literally, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday typing this shit, printing it, binding it, organizing it, because this was basically, I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought I was going to read, and there were certain things that I just forgot to do. I was going to read from my 1-year book, which I forgot to do. I was going to try to read old stuff and just like, I don't know. It just became too much. So I kind of, I was going back. Should I read stuff about Ohio? Is that going to be more interesting? Like, I don't know. I didn't necessarily want to read stuff from the pandemic just because, like, who fucking wants to hear about any of that? And I don't know. As soon as I typed this stuff, it just felt like, well, this is newer and I should read this because, I don't know, just suddenly the Ohio stuff felt like, well, I've already read that kind of a bunch. There was stuff I did want to read out. My Stating the Obvious poem. But it just became, I knew I wanted to try to do a long piece, and I knew I wanted to do, like, talk like, take no prisoners. Like Lou Reed, take no prisoners. You know, this is my attitude towards poetry. And of course, like, doing the talk pieces on YouTube. I knew I wanted to do, well, the other thing is I just thought, well, this Frankly Fabulous character, I just wanted to do it and see if it would take off in person. And I didn't set it up right because the reading was under my name. And so there was no real indication that it was like a character or anything. It just seemed like this guy is up there and he's being a dickhead. Like, what the fuck is his problem? He's like, just broing out or whatever. And it's like, okay. I like I said, there was a lot of aggression or like animosity. I did pretty well, I thought, considering. I did manage to do everything I kind of set out to do in a sort of mini version. I didn't nail it completely, but there were really profound moments, I thought. Or maybe not profound, but like there was a really nice span of moments where I was really kind of doing good. And then my last piece, so like I said, I knew I wanted to do a long piece, and it was this book has two different long pieces in it. It has a long piece about the West Village. Well, it's got a few, three maybe. It's got a long piece about the West Village, which is just like super walls and walls and walls of text, and it's very prosy. It's very kind of Ed Sanders or like objectivist, or I don't know. It's sort of like, you know, combining a lot of those things. It's not like my friend's work is very poetic. It's it's like every line kind of has imagery that's like, you know, really got something going on. Me, I'm just kind of, this is more prose-like in a certain way. It's just citizen reportage, and I did say that. I did set that up. I did tell everybody I'm a cosmopolitan micro-diarist, and that's what this is, to be honest. City life. It's objectivist. It's Charles Reznikoff, like I said. It's Ed Sanders. It's informational, but it's also a collage of like perceptions, and I don't know. This is not heavily workshop. This is like I said, it came out of my diary straight into this. I don't hardly change it at all. And I did it like I do these a lot pretty quickly. I don't know. I'm probably going to re-edit it and sort of maybe take some things out and put some things in. So I have, you know, I have a couple of pieces that are like 7 minutes long plus. Like 7.5 minutes, 8 minutes-ish in here. And one of them, like I said, is about the West Village, and it's sort of like, I don't know, it's romantic, and it's just corny. And then I have, what I maybe should have read was, I have this small talk sequence, which is just like a bunch of little things in a row, but they're all kind of connected. I got the idea from the Jack Michelin. He has those city poems that are like a bunch of like little things, but they're strung together, and so they make kind of a book length, like long poem, but there's also a brevity to it that's kind of nice. I probably should have read that because it's more contemporary and it's more trim, funny. I don't know. The long village piece is like, it's sanctimonious. Like I said, my talk parts were all about gentrification and Google and Columbia and botulism and Friends. You know, I said some funny shit. Eli told me I dunked on Friends, which is totally true. I dunked on Friends. Not everything came off perfectly. The end, like once I got into the long poem, I sort of started to drag a little bit because like I just kind of flagged. I just kind of lost my mojo. And I was repeating a lot of the kind of cranky. And I don't know, being alone and post-pandemic and watching this movie, They All Laughed. That's been kind of like just the model for my life recently. And it's very toxic. It's very male gaze, and it's very like objectifying of women. If you want to read it in a very like glossed way, you know, that's how that movie's going to come off. It's like guys walking around Manhattan looking at babes and following them around, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of it takes place on 7th Avenue South, right in the heart of everywhere I've been hanging out and spending time alone and writing these poems and drawing. This chair is right on in this garden on 7th Avenue South. I just drew this the other night. While I was sitting there listening to these women talk about how Drake sleeps with 20 women after his concerts or something. And so I was drawing this. So this is 7th Avenue South, and then this is like Bleecker and, Charles, or so. It's somewhere in the West Village. Maybe this is over by St. Ambrose. I think maybe that's where this is. West 4th and Perry, I think. And it's it came out really well, I gotta say. Like, I did draw that. Maybe from now on, maybe I'll just put out comic books. I think people would like them a lot better. My poems, I don't know. Like I said, I flagged during this long piece, but the other piece that I maybe should have read was this oral novel piece, which is a transcription of a YouTube talk I gave last summer. So it's like literally like the Google. Maybe I should have asked people what they wanted to hear, but it would have been an abrupt change of gears. My reading was kind of centered around this kind of like Greenwich Village, Beatnik, because she does Beatnik Cafe. Her series is called Beatnik Cafe in L.A., just sort of coincidentally. So like being in the Village, being on East 4th Street, which is where all those theaters are, La Bama's there, and Jack Michelin's play they did there, and like I've done stuff in the theaters on East 4th Street before, and it is 4th Street, which is where I put my flyer, and it's where West 4th Street and Positively 4th Street, and I wanted to be like, this was my Taylor Mead set, this was my Gaslight set, this was my John Giorno. I had notes of Giorno that I threw in, not to compare. I mean, obviously I don't belong in the same sentence as any of these people, but like, these are the things I've been listening to, and these are the things I've been stealing from. Like I said, I kind of wanted to be Lenny Bruce and be like kind of obscene and downtown, and like I'm on McDougal and I'm like just like riffing, man. It was jazz. It was like, it was meant to be like a little bit of a free improv. And Maxwell Bodenheim, that's been the other thing recently. My Life and Loves in Greenwich Village, of course. And that sort of like oratorical street poet thing. And so I thought, this is a cabaret. And also the other kind of vision board piece, I put it in my Instagram post, and I'm satisfied. I mean, I got the likes. I got a lot of there's a lot of healing that's happening maybe through fuck social media. I hate it. I hate what Instagram and Facebook do. I hate it. And Twitter sucks mostly too. But there was this picture. It's from Krusty's fucking middle-aged comedy. I've never actually seen this episode of The Simpsons, but he's got like a ponytail and he's like a pothead, and he's got the kind of like middle-aged jazz musician outfit of like blazer over like t-shirt, and he's like in the cabaret, like telling it like it is. He's like he's Lenny Bruce and the fuck out. He's calling bullshit on his corporate sponsors, and he's just kind of like this like oral, like bitter, cynical, like smoking Dennis Leary, Doug Stanhope. And so that picture, there was a picture my friend Eli took that weirdly, the picture of me and KGB and the picture of Krusty, they looked like almost the same. The Krusty picture looked like a storyboard for the Frankly Fabulous, like real life staging. Because there was like an audience, and it's all red, like KGB bar, and there's a candle on the fucking table. And there's all these tables in the foreground with like Principal Skinner and Edna Krabappel and the audience. And then Krusty's up there, and he's got like a cigarette, just like this, in front of the brick. And you can tell he's just like in his like, just like rant mode ultra. And ranting is a form of poetry, and I don't know. I don't know where it came from, because my shows are not, they're kind of soft-boiled. I'm very careful on my shows to be like nice and PC, for lack of a better word. And this, I don't know, it just something came out. The devilish kind of Frankly Fabulous, you know, the flaming Wilson hat. That's the dopest piece of fucking clothing I have. And the aviators, you know, I had the aviators on, so I was kind of shielded, and I just kind of ran my, I don't know. I was maybe a little too loose. There were certain punchlines that I didn't really complete on like I could have. Not punchlines. There were just certain opportunities for like things to say that I kind of missed. And like I said, I had a few Freudian slips that like were kind of weird and maybe a little too revealing, and I didn't try to like hedge, like I said, the kind of guyness of it. Like there was a lot. I said the word pussy, which is might be not that cool or acceptable anymore. I'll probably regret that. It was like the reading I did in the Slooge in like 2015 or whatever. So it was like, I don't know. I'm glad I got it out of my system because it did feel like maybe the last of the pandemic. And I don't think I'll do that again, to be honest. Like, it just didn't really work, to be honest. Like, the Frankly Fabulous character it wasn't necessary, to be honest. Like, if I would have done it without the clothes and the hat and the glasses, it probably would have been better. Like, if I would have just done it more earnestly, maybe if I wouldn't have smoked weed and just kind of actually just like been myself, it probably would have been better, to be honest. Like, maybe it was a little bit of a missed opportunity, but I went all in on it, and it wasn't bad. There were parts of it that I don't think people really liked that much. Like, I think they liked my friend a lot better, but the applause at the end was so interesting because, like I said, I read this long piece that was sort of, I didn't do it that badly, but I kind of just, there were moments where I was sort of judging it, and I was sort of like, okay, this is, should I have read the experimental YouTube piece? Like I said, that would have been an abrupt change of gears. My whole thing was sort of about New York, downtown, Greenwich Village, gentrification, NYU, you know, property tax. And that's a very tired topic, and I didn't cover all of the fucking scope of it, obviously, that I would have liked. But I got in, you know, for 27 minutes, it was definitely packed. And the Google thing could have, obviously it's related because it's about kind of the mangling of our surveillance and just the fact that it even exists. And I was playing to the camera, and I was doing like Frankly Fabulous, like identification, station identification and stuff. So it maybe that piece really could have come alive. I was a little unsure about it because it's long, and it's not as like the Greenwich Village piece. I can tell like there's so much like trivia and fact and detail, and every word of that is like encrypted into the fucking the warehouse of what I'm trying to show this whole world from a lot of different points of view, from my own contemporary experiences, the things I see, the things I overhear, my thoughts, to all of the people that have been there before, their experiences, their histories, populating it with them, what I see, you know, like the people who live there now, the people who work there, the politics, the nature, the river, all of it, you know. And so, in that sense, I mean, it was a bravura kind of epic, mini epic, but I also think, well, at the end, so after I read that piece, I wanted to finish with what I should have done, and hindsight is 2020, but I just should have tagged on my Grodin. Grodin, we hardly knew ye. For a videotape of this program, please send $19.95 plus shipping and handling to Fort Lee, New Jersey. Limousine service provided by Music Express. That would have been a good ending, because it would have paid tribute to Grodin. And they kind of tagged that on at the end of all these shows, that thing about, for a transcript, send $19.95. And but it was kind of interesting the way it ended. It was almost like the applause just kind of broke out. Like, after I read my long piece, I said, well, I don't really know if there's anything. Is that it? I said something like, basically like that. And everybody, I had no concept of how long I'd been up there at all. If you would have told me I'd been up there 15 minutes, I would have believed you. It felt like about 15 minutes. And I think, watching the tape, I was up there 27 minutes. Which, to be honest, my only real goal was to not lose the audience. That's what I was afraid of. I was afraid, like, I don't want to get up there and bomb. You know, I don't want to get up there. That's what I'm always afraid of. And that's kind of why I go over the top and get aggressive and kind of am in, like, a weird... Because I am just, like, I want to kind of, like, ambush them. I don't want to let them get away. And I've never had that, like I said, I've never had that solo showcase before. I've always been on group readings with 4 other people or more, or reading with my ex and her playing saxophone. So this is the first reading I've gotten to do by myself, you know. In New York, everybody thinks, and I still was loud and a fucking crazy idiot, and that's what people don't like about what I do, I think. I don't know why I do that. It doesn't really work. Like, I could just read it normally. Like I said, I'm trying to, like, ambush the audience and sort of, I don't know. My friend said something about how it was about what she expected. She expected it to be, which was kind of disappointing, you know, because the whole point is, like, it's meant to be startling, or, I don't know, just different. So the fact that it was what she expected, I don't know. I feel like my poetry is, like, suddenly incredibly old-fashioned. Like, I kind of need to be around the actual young people. And the young poets, and I need to sort of try to write that way, and actually, you know, after the last few years of not being able to be, or being devoted to it, but, like, in the way that's, like, private with books from, like, 50 years ago, rather than, like, I'm in a room with poets who are doing this now, and they're fresh and inventing new ideas and writing from that place. Me, I'm sort of like, I'm like a postmodern modernist or something, you know, like I'm basically imitating things from the newer American poetry, you know. This book, Paul Blackburn, Jack Michelin, Joan Kiger, you know, The Objectivist, like I said, the Ed Sanders thing, of course, Eileen Miles, Schuyler, you know, John Giorno, like I said, Taylor Mead, Jack Kerouac, Philip Whalen, you know, just all of the things that but I don't know, it's not feeling like it's adding up to, like, some kind of cutting edge thing necessarily anymore. I feel like I'm doing, like, 1959, which is cool. I do want, that was the part of the point of this. It was like a cabaret act. Taylor Mead says, be unprepared. And his shows are these kind of, like, slovenly, like, disheveled, disorganized, but chance operations. And so I was sort of trying to go there and be feisty and, like, foul-mouthed and, like, ugly and, like, outcast. I felt that way. You know, I felt like... And I don't know, that was kind of maybe an indication of what the show was, to me it's a show, it's show business. That was also the point. Not that I'm trying to do comedy, but it's show business. That was a cabaret act, that was entertainment. Getting to do 27 minutes of stage time, especially in New York City, is like Manhattan at KGB bar, no less. Like, that's a fucking... It was my HBO half hour. But it's all, like, the stuff that she read, these are like... She said she had, I think, like 23, 24, 25 pages that were, like, solid for, like, a book. And it's like, yeah, definitely. Like, she definitely does. This is shit I put together. This is all written within the last 3 months, This is, my books are meant to be, like, sort of compost and sort of biodegradable and, like, newspapers or something. They're immediate, the performance is spontaneous and immediate. And I'm always explaining it because it doesn't work, or the explanation is the performance. And it feels important to be live and spontaneous because it's risky and because the internet is not spontaneous. I mean, it is, and it's cringe, but the spontaneity is like frozen. Like, the spontaneity, but it's also not spontaneous because you can take all the fucking time in the world to, like, manicure your post and make it perfect and make the picture perfect and put it through filters and edit it and bump up the exposure and the saturation and the, caption it just right. And it's just like, I hate it. I hate the superficiality and the image driven, just like, commerce of the attention economy. And so doing flyers, weirdly enough, I think that was, one guy showed up because he saw it on Instagram. He does follow Easy Paradise's Instagram. He does look at the stories pretty regularly. And he was super cool. I met him afterwards. And then I didn't really get a feel for where everybody else came from, but from what I understand, what my friend told me from talking to people, a lot of people saw the flyers. There was this big zine fest in the East Village this weekend, June 12th, 8-ball community. They had a big, like, DIY, like, zine fest. There was a poetry reading at that, and so a lot of people, my flyer, I put, like, next to the flyer for that, like, in some of the places in the East Village. And so I thought, so a lot of people came out because they saw the flyer and they were like, oh, this is cool. Look, it's handmade. It's Xerox. This is a poetry reading. Like, everybody that came out to, like, just because they wanted to hear a poetry reading. And I can't imagine anything better than that, actually. I'm really hurt and disappointed that none of my friends came out. Like, I'm sorry that I haven't been that great about reaching out to people, but, like, we are readjusting from a pandemic, and I have been busy. I've been doing a lot of shit, and, like, I'm filming stuff. I have been, I put this fucking book together. I've been writing. I've been and I have been going to events, and I did the fucking KGB open mic, and I have been to a handful of readings, and so no one's been reaching out to me, and nobody came to my show. I should have sold it more like this is like the homecoming. Come out if I haven't seen you, like, here's a chance where we can all, like, touch base, say hello. My friend Jenna was going to come out. She bailed. I don't blame her. She hates me. And I don't know. Maybe people were afraid to do stuff inside. I understand that totally. Like, you don't want to go. And to be honest, it is a risk. I've just been putting my blinders onto that shit, to be honest. I'm vaccinated. I trust that other people are. I don't do that much stuff indoors with a lot of people. That was, like, really the first. I've done a handful of things over the past month or two that have been indoors with multiple people. Not really that many. Maybe 2 or 3 things. Most things outdoors. And distance and all of it, you know. So, I guess I could be a little more careful. I don't blame people. It was beautiful to just have poets and people we didn't know and people who just came to hear poetry. Like, yes, that couldn't get any better, to be honest. So, like I said, with the social media stuff, there was so much animosity because, like, you're sort of bracing for, like, not getting validation. And so, I know most of my posts I don't put that much effort into because it's just like, what's the fucking point? I don't want to put some corny thing, hey guys, it's my first reading in a year and a half. Like, I'd love to see you. Come on out. Maybe that's what I should do. I just posted the fucking flyer. I didn't even put a caption, you know? It's like, who's got time for this? I don't, and just checking it and not getting the likes that you wanted to like, not getting hardly any likes. It's fucking sad, pathetic, stupid, and who knows how engineered it is, you know? Like, are they purposefully withholding your post from certain people because they don't want them to like it because they know you want that person to like it, and if they don't like it, you're going to be like, oh, fuck them. You know, so-and-so didn't like my fucking flyer post. Like, what a fucking jerk. When in reality, maybe Instagram is just not showing them the goddamn post. Maybe they're withholding it purposefully because they don't want you. They want you to feel some kind of drama with that person. I don't know why. It just makes me afraid to go on those apps, to be honest. I'm afraid to check my Instagram or my Facebook because I just don't want to see whatever drama shit they're going to put. And that's Zuckerberg. Twitter does that too, but it's not as bad. They're not as in your face. Like, Facebook and Instagram will literally put the thing right in your face that you do not want to see. And it's like, why are you trying to, spike my... It just spikes your emotions and your reactions and your, like, drama so much that it's just like, I'm not addicted to this. I don't want to be a part of this. People are unfollowing me. The Lunatic Hour unfollowed me. That was like the first heartbreaking thing. But you win and you lose. So I put all this effort in my book. Like I said, it's not perfect. I kind of need to like redo it maybe a little bit. I'm trying to process shitloads of material. I mean, there's these notebooks are full of long pieces and short pieces, and it's just like, so I'm trying to pick the best stuff, and it takes a long time to type. So literally, that's all I was doing Monday, Tuesday, just fucking literally, it was like finals week. I was up till like 2, 3 a.m. fucking, and I still wasn't getting the shit done because I was just typing, like I said, these long pieces and trying to put it together and scan it and bind it, staple it, fold it. And, I mean, if it was just social media, nobody would have even fucking come, I don't think, because none of my friends came. The drama, it just stoked drama. You know, I posted my flyer. I'm a member of this, like, New York City poetry event thing. And it's a lot of the people I admire, to be honest. It's a lot of, like, the New York School people in the Poetry Project, kind of older generation. And I'm very supportive of all the shit they do. I'm probably one of the few young people in the group for honestly. It's all like people who've lived here since the 70s and 80s and whatnot. And they're great. They're nice people. I love their work. I want to be accepted by them. And I like their posts all the fucking time. I'm constantly liking shit in their fucking group. And so I posted my flyer in their group because it's about New York City poetry events. And literally nobody fucking liked it. And it's like, you fucking bastards. Like, I support this shit all the time. Like, thanks a lot. Like, we've been through a fucking pandemic. and like still you're just like petty assholes, like fuck yourself, you know? And so my friend who was at the KGB open mic from the East Village, he hearted it and he said, can't make this one. And I thought, you know, it just puts you, social media, he commented, can't make this one. And he goes to everything. So social media puts you in this headspace where it's like, is this person fucking with me? Is he saying he can't make it because he thinks, is that like a dig at me? Like, oh, I can't make this one. This is going to be shitty. Like, you know, like, you know, I try to go to everything, but can't make this one. Sorry. What, like, was he being sarcastic? Was he being ironic? Was he being, I don't know. This is just the headspace that fucking social media puts you in. And so I wasn't meaning it. Like, I really appreciate that he interacted with it. He hearted it. like that's my high paranoid self to be like, is this guy fucking with me? But like, it was nice that he even interacted with it because literally nobody else did. And so I commented, I was like, gee, after a fucking, you know, tough year, I thought people would be more supportive. Because the thing that's really painful is all of these people, I'm sure, are supportive of my ex's bullshit. I'm sure they all follow her. All the fucking, like, people that hate me, you know, they all support her shit. Nobody likes any of my posts. Nobody comes to any of my events. You know, I'm just slugging it out. Perseverance is where the gods dwell. That's what Werner Herzog, old Peruvian, saying. Perseverance is where the gods dwell. So I'm trying not to view things through like the little window of like New York scene bullshit and look through it, the bigger picture of like, this is God's work. I'm doing this for, I don't even know. I don't even know who's out there who I'm doing this for, but like, I'm doing it. And this is my work. This is my life. This is my story. Maybe someday somebody will acknowledge it. Even if these fucking people don't. And even if these people all hate me. I'm trying shit. And I admire their work. That's the most painful part. Is I feel like, you know, this is the first community I've ever felt like I share the values of. And they all think I'm like a fucking annoying, crazy, narcissistic egomaniac or something. I don't know. Which I suppose I am, but at least I'm being outlandish. Everybody else is just like behaving as if things are normal. That's what this is all about, to be honest. Like, our world is going up in flames. Like, even if what I'm saying is, like, not nailing it for you, like, I'm trying to just, like, fucking scream. So, like, people wake the fuck up. Like, millennials, like, wake the fuck up. Stop being obsessed with, like, mom jeans and fucking trying to look cool. So the thing that worked was the old-fashioned way, because everybody that came out was like some zine kid. And to be honest, I'm kind of glad we didn't do an open mic, because it probably would have been a lot of really bad. I mean, what I'm doing is like part of the poetics is kind of part of the. And I do think people got that. Although, you know, like, my work, not necessarily on a line-by-line level, is, like, really, like, nailing it for people. And it is kind of like this logorrheic catalog of kind of unexciting detail or I don't know. There's no poetry in it. It's just writing. And that's okay. That's what I'm trying to do. I don't know. That's how I justify it. Fuck poetry. I don't give a fuck about poetry. I just want to write in my own way. And it is poetry, but it's embarrassing to call it that. And I don't know. Maybe I should try to be more sincere or like sacred or something. To me, I am being sincere and I am being sacred, but I'm doing it like in a very like immediate, to the point, kind of cringe way. just trying to get it all out, blow as deep as you want to blow. Well, here you go. You know, jazz guys are able to improvise every night. Miles Davis didn't rehearse. He said, what the fuck are you... Herbie Hancock was rehearsing. He says, what the fuck are you doing? You rehearse on stage. You know, I think we need that vibe. We need high wire acts. You know, like when you see John Giorno perform, it's like a fucking heavy metal show or something. Just him. He just rocks it so hard. And obviously, my material was not that effective. Microdosing with huge joints. But also I have a lack of confidence because I have no place or validation, or nobody respects what I do or pumps me full. You know, I don't have an overabundance, let's say, of approval, and so I'm insecure and unsure about if I even should I be doing something else. I mean, it's embarrassing to tell everybody on Facebook, oh, I'm doing a poetry reading. And they're like, who the fuck are you? Matt Proctor from high school? Like, you're doing a fucking poetry reading? Like, okay, pal. Like, how long is this going to go on? Like, you're almost 40. Why don't you do what you're made to do? And it was... it was a little bit of a clown show. That's part of the thing. Like, maybe that's not immediately apparent, and maybe I'm not the most mind-blowing. I mean, so the next night was a reading at... So I had to, I had that, and then I had to work the next day. So I kind of had to pace myself. And like I said, I've been busting my ass the whole week already. I hadn't been sleeping that well or that much, and, like, working on this fucking book and shit. So I had this huge reading for me. That was definitely like the biggest, I'd say, like, just me thing I've ever done. And it does feel like what I was imagining I would like to have happened after the pandemic is over. It's cool to be able to come out of the pandemic into something that, like, this is the dream for me. Absolutely. I'm totally, like, living my dream 100%. Like, thank you. I mean, whether or not I'm succeeding in, like, my am I as good of a writer as every other fucking person in New York? Maybe I'm a hack. I don't know. There's no indication that I'm good at this, really. I don't even know if I believe in myself. I'm just obnoxious enough to, like, put myself out there, when everybody would probably prefer that I don't. It just feels like, I don't know, this is what I want to do. Sooner or later, it's got to start working. I know I can do a better show. I do a better show every fucking time I do a live stream on YouTube. It's just doing it in person, trying to do it fast. Like I said, with my live streams, it takes me 45 minutes or an hour to warm up. It's only after about an hour of talking that you really kick in to, you relax your kind of judgments, and things kind of flow easier. You were warmed up. So this, I mean, I had gone from literally being alone all week. I wasn't even doing this. I didn't even have time to do this. I think I did a dress rehearsal, like, the night before at, like, 1 a.m. or something. So I was kind of out of practice and just, like, really discombobulated emotionally, because... And that was unusual for me, to be honest. I've been in a great mood for the most part since I've been back in New York. The other thing was, I do this work for this organization where I film their events, and they just don't share any of it. So I'm like, what am I even doing this for? You know, like, it's another one of those social media things where you're like, are they doing this just to fuck with me? Are they doing this to, like, deprive me of, like, literally, they don't pay me very much. Like, it's not, if I was actually getting paid what I deserve, I'd be making $300, let's say, $500 to do these events. I'd do them a little harder. I'd try a little harder maybe. But I get paid $100, which I have to pay taxes on, I think. And it's a number of different steps. I have to edit it. I have to do this. I have to do that. Like, and they don't even share it. It's like I email it to them, and they're like, "Oh, thanks. It looks great," and that's it. It's like, what the fuck? Why am I doing this? Well, I mean, it's just more example of like how I'm a failure in this world and how I'm an outsider in this world, and just like the stupidity and pain of that. And I don't know why I give a fuck if they accept me or anything, or even know. I think they know who I am. I think they think I'm a weird, like, bad energy, toxic male, probably. Those people in that world, you know? I don't know. They probably are realizing that my work is not as good as my attitude would lead you to believe. And my, I don't know, confidence or sense, people's sense of my confidence. It's not confidence. It's just like a sense that I just have to do this. I'm not confident at all. I guess that probably reads too. But it's like, so there's this other guy who takes pictures at the events, and he's cool. He's a great guy. You know, I like him a lot. We're friends. I don't have anything against him, but they share his fucking pictures. They put him on Instagram. They tag him. It's like, so he gets all this attention, all these people know who he is. He does the same fucking thing I do, basically. I work harder on it, I would say, because video is just, you got to edit it, you got to bounce it, you got to upload it. It's bigger files. It takes longer to fucking sync it and shit. Like, there's posts with photography too, but like, this is like a multi-step process. I have to take a big-ass tripod, blah, 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 And so I don't get any credit. Nobody sees it. I get paid very little. Like, it's just like, so I see this social media post on Tuesday that's his pictures of the event, and it's just like, 10,000 people are going to see this. And then my shit, I can't even get anybody to even, like, acknowledge it or like it except my mom. Even these fucking old people in the goddamn, poetry group aren't supporting my shit. It's like, everybody hates me. Is it because I'm a fucking pothead and I just run my mouth too much? Am I a bad person? I mean, I'm a bad poet, I suppose. I'm coming to terms with that. I don't think I care. I love my poetry. I think it's great. It's exactly what I want to do. I'm doing exactly what I want to do. I mean, the performance came off too, like, bad guy. It was too, like animosity or, like, just bad, dark. It wasn't as sharp or as varied. It was good. I think I did a good job. It was not a failure. It was not a failure. I don't feel that way. I don't think, there were parts where I think I was sort of blowing people's minds. But I just didn't really finish. The finish was interesting, like I said. There was an applause. It was a very interesting applause. It wasn't like protocol. It felt genuine. It felt like people were like thanking me for what I had offered. And that's more where I'm at as a performer than, like, I do think it's very, like, patriarchal and male ego to just be like, I want to fucking, like, wow these people, or just, like, you know, take over and blow their minds. I have, obviously, I'm gun shy about a lot of things, particularly coming out of the pandemic, but I don't have that killer instinct. There are certain shows where I'm able to do it. I would say about 10 to 20% of the time I can really just, like, home run it. This, I would say, this was, like, more like 30% of the time I have shows that are, like, pretty good. Like, there was some weird shit. There were some things that I think people didn't really like that I said that were maybe a little bit off color, or just, like, kind of off calibration. They're kind of a little bit old paradigm, maybe. But I've just been stewing in isolation, like I said. And this week in particular was just hard. I don't know why I took this stuff so hard, but it was just, I felt like I was in high school and just, like, some girl broke my heart or something. You know, it felt like, oh, God, like, I'm crying, and I'm just, like, emotionally, like, my heart is just, like, I got this performance, just, like, no one fucking cares. No one's gonna come to this. None of my friends are liking any of these fucking posts. Like, you know, all of these fucking assholes are asking me, when are you coming back to New York? When are you coming back to New York? And now that I'm back, they won't even come see me. Like, fuck you. This is a big thing for me. It's a big break. It's like I said, it's my half-hour special. It's my, like, I would appreciate if you'd come out and fucking support me. But I also, like I said, I don't want to put people in that position, and the applause was so interesting. Because it was real. It was almost like how rain starts falling. Like, it's sort of, there's like like one or two that kind of happen, and then a little bit more, and then, and it just starts falling. And it was falling for a minute, you know. It was falling, you know. People weren't going woo or anything like that. It wasn't like, it was. I guess the point being, I think what I'm doing and the energy I'm putting out and the feel I'm putting through the room is, like, it's a different thing. You know, it is almost like somebody's just, like, playing a solo for 30 minutes and then they're done, and you're like, wow. Yeah. It wasn't necessarily like, oh my God, this fucking, you know, this band just, like, totally killed it, and like, the next night, like I said, there was this reading, and it was two guys who gave presentations about, one of them was about, I don't even really know what it was about, to be honest. The subject was mushrooms. So the second presentation was actually about mushrooms, and how, like, it was enlightened. It was it was on fire, to be honest. Like, the dude was just saying shit, but they weren't poets. The one guy was, like, he studied at Reed College, and he was, like, a linguist. And he talked a lot about, you know, semantic kind of things. And I don't really remember, to be honest, if he even talked about mushrooms. Or what his fucking... I think he said something about language has decomposition links, which was so fascinating. Like, meanings change over time because, like, the links rot. Almost like on the internet, you know, links go dead. So, like, words that, like, silly, he said the word silly, you know, it meant something different. I don't remember what, when it started, but the links, I don't, you know, over time changed, and so now it has a different meaning. Just things like that. I mean, it was just amazing, you know, it was really somebody who's super well trained in, like, this kind of theory or whatever that world is. That Chomsky, he talked about Chomsky a lot. Chomsky's a Zionist. It's a problem. And he was funny. He said some shit. Classics. That's just white people shit. That's a white people term for, like, Greek and Roman shit. He was awesome. I mean, that guy was awesome. And they were both just like on fire with just like insanely profound. And like, okay, my bitching about Friends and gentrification was not really as high vibe as that, let's say. I mean, it was more just kind of like, I mean, I did get my little fact about botulism across, which I thought was key. Like, I did a good job. I hit all the bases. I just didn't really finish strong. And because I'm just kind of like, I didn't know what the fuck I was going to read. Like I said, I sort of planned out in advance, okay, I'll go da-da-da-da-da. Like, I kind of figured after I got the book, I thought, okay, you know, I'll do this, then I'll jump to this, and then, okay. And then I can finish with this. And that's kind of vaguely where I have no idea when I'm going to say anything or what I'm going to say or how long it's going to take. And so I interrupt the poem to talk about, like I talked about, my love language is karate. I talked about how my dad's side of the family, it's all about like punching and shit. And so I went into that, and that was kind of an interesting moment. Like Take No Prisoners, the Lou Reed album, which nobody likes. Everybody's like, what is this, fucking stand-up comedy? It's my favorite Lou Reed album because it's like he's just hilarious and it's poetic and it's a talk piece like David Anton. So I was trying to kind of do a little bit of that, and also just like civic, political, pamphleteering like Thomas Paine or Penny Arcade. Just be kind of a citizen advocate for and just talk about Manhattan and just my point was just like there's no there. Like no one the people that live here are all transplants. I didn't really get to my line about Palo Alto, but like in the moment of just like trying to throw it out there and just do it, I think I did a pretty good job considering. I'd like to see anybody else try it. It's banter, for lack of a better word, is not easy, and it can be really bad. And I wasn't really bad. There were parts that were better, were not that great, but I think that's also part of like the spontaneity and the honesty of it. First of all, I've never fucking even done that in front of anybody. Every time I perform for the past fucking 4 years, it's either been an open mic where I have literally like a minute to 3 minutes, and so I try to do like a little miniature version of what I did, or it's like I had a saxophone. And I was like hosting a thing. It was never like, here's Matt Proctor, he gets 20 minutes or he gets half an hour to actually like do what he does. It's always like I'm just introducing people, or like I said, I have 2 minutes. So I've been practicing a lot on YouTube and taking up huge oceans of time. Because to be honest, I mean, the audience is just as much on YouTube and potentially far more. I mean, people don't like what I do on YouTube either, but these people are just out and about, so they witnessed it. I mean, I think that's part of the art approach. It's just like, not everything is likable. It's not a popularity contest. Not everything is meant to, like, certain things are just like there to exist and chart that and give permission. It's not a value judgment thing. In fact, writing poems that are like asking for applause or garnering applause, I guess that's the point. That's what everything in our society, I mean, I did say I want to be in show business. And I did manage to get an interesting line in about overhearing conversations. I said some interesting shit. And that stuff, if I did, I'd say 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 pretty amazing things. I'd say 7 to 8, maybe even 10. I did like maybe 10 or so, like pretty amazing fucking things that really you're not going to see anybody else do, to be honest. And then I did a few things that were kind of cringe and embarrassing and not that great. And I my work itself is also very like repertorial and it's just first thought, best thought. I'm sorry, but let's call it like it is. And I was just having a bad week. I just had tons of toxic energy. It felt like last summer again. It felt like, oh God, I'm getting like scorned from the gods. And right before the reading, if I would have gone into the reading with from a better place, where I wasn't emotionally just like, I felt like I was playing hurt, and that's not uncommon. I mean, maybe that's just because I'm an ego person, and I take things too personally, and I am more chip than shoulder and more critical of myself. A lot of my performances, I feel that way. I'm playing hurt. Oh God. I've got this personal drama, and it's like a thorn in my heart that like, oh God, I got to get up in front of these people and like somehow push through. And so just even finding the strength and the life force to do that, I do, when I'm frankly fabulous, I do feel like a little bit of a boxer, and it's like me versus them and the lights and you don't want the audience to overcome you. You want to overcome the audience, like that thing, Who is it? LL Cool J or somebody said that. And so that's what I try to do. And I think I did good. I'd give it about a, low B, somewhere in a low B area. Maybe not a B minus, but I'd give it like maybe an 85, which is fine. I mean, that's the nature of live performance. They're not all ace, and I purposefully, or perhaps not, I mean, it's part of my gripe against society. I am like this Joe Gould figure, this old cranky, salty, briny complainer. It's part of my work that like, fuck, I forgot what I was going to say. It's just, it's not GMO. It's like fruit that's not all pumped with hormones. There's bruises on it. It's like you grew it in your garden. There's maybe insects got on it. Maybe there's spots. It's lumpy. I don't know. But it's real. There's actual nutrients in it. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's not. Maybe my writing is just like graphomania. I mean, I'm sure that it is, but I feel like I've figured out how to channel it into, if nothing else, just like a form of public discourse. It's felt a little bit like a community meeting, and Penny Arcade has that vibe, and Reno, and East Village. That's an East Village thing. Not that it did any good, the point of I sound so old, like fogey, to get up there and talk about this, because like the Greenwich Village and Manhattan as a whole have been so completely vanquished by gentrification for at least 20 or 30 years. Like, that battle is so over. And I was in Bed-Stuy yesterday, and it's like, that is where the Bohemia is. I was in Herbert von King Park, and it's just like, yeah, this is where all the fucking poets are, and all the, I went to the Better Read Than Dead bookstore out there. It was fucking awesome. Great selection, good prices. My friend's apartment is sick. We went up on the roof. It's just beautiful. The park is so beautiful. That Herbert von King Park, the fucking plants there's so much variety, and there's like shag. There's like a shagginess to some of the parks. McCarran sort of has it. But this one is like the epitome of it. And it's beautiful. The trees are gorgeous and just like overgrowing. The lawns are overgrowing. There's a lot of community stuff, basketball court, playground, community center with like a theater and shit, nice murals. And it's all just these hipster people, for lack of a better word, sitting on blankets and shit. in super cool clothes and tattoos, and this area is not that at all. It is a mall for rich people. It's just like it's so been done complaining about this and characterizing it like this that it's. I was reading that into it. Like, oh my god, I'm just bitching about gentrification for like half my reading. Like, not that cool. Young, cool people are not that into this. Like, I don't know. But it felt like I'm trying to draw a panorama of this village. And so I can't help but talk about that. This is what I see. And I am sort of like the dye in the water. That's like the one little drop that hopefully can make the whole thing go, red or whatever, blue. I was not able to perform with like the relaxation or the comfort like this. I'm not really nervous. I mean, I'm a little nervous that I will not be able to think of something to say or forget what I'm talking about like I just did. But it's not, I mean, it was involuntary. I didn't really feel that nervous, to be honest. But my body was really nervous. Like all of my organs and shit were stressed and just like pumping stress hormones, and the whole week I just felt tender in my stomach, like I said, butterflies and heartache and nerves, and your nervous system of course is going wild. I did about as good as I could, I'd say. I didn't get a standing ovation or anything. But I don't know. It's about showing people one way of it being able to do it. I don't see other people necessarily performing in this way. And so I want to break open people's sense of possibility. And poetry feels like a good space to do that, even if what I'm writing is not necessarily like what my friend was reading was like she could do that at poetry fucking Chicago Center or at different universities and shit. She could do readings at like nice bookstores and things, and it's gonna be like good. Me, I mean, I was also trying to be frankly fabulous and be like a bar band and be John Giorno and be this kind of live X-ray. I mean, listening to the Theme Time Radio Hour, right? It's all about kind of being a hard ass and like Red Fox. He's constantly playing and citing Red Fox, and so like I was kind of in that mode. I was like, this is my Dolomite. This is my album that comes in a brown paper bag. Like, I don't know, as far as like obscenity and just talking about sex, or she writes about sex too. And so I thought, okay, well, this will complement what she's doing, and this will be we have a lot in common, actually, in a weird way. We're kind of like LA, New York. I mean, I don't know if she would agree or appreciate that, but I think in a certain, like, she runs a reading series out there called Beatnik Cafe, and it's an open mic, and I sort of do the same thing here, and our writing has similarities, even though hers is a lot more like polished and like good. Not good, but like, you know what I mean, like people like it. It's just immediately recognizable, and like my stuff is, well, particularly the way I read it, I'm kind of trapped in this mode where and it doesn't always work. You get kind of caught where you're like, I've sort of like gimmicked this up. Oh, I did want to talk about theme time and his Red Fox, and well, I don't want to get, I get to this point where I like gimmick it up because I'm like reading it like it's like in some kind of weird character or some kind of weird tone of voice, or like it's because I'm high and because I don't know, that shit just happens. But it doesn't really work. I don't know. It kind of distracts from the writing, I think. Like, if I just read it, I think people would like it, actually. But because I get high and because I get in my head and I get nervous, everything's weirder when you're high. It goes that way a lot for me. If I get too high, I get nervous, and that's all people receive, and they just think this guy's weird. And I think I maybe smoked a little too much. I wasn't sure how much to smoke when I was out front. I smoked like a joint and a half or two. I think I smoked almost 2 complete joints, like literally right before. Not huge ones, just like. But I didn't drink at all. I should have had a little bit of drink to fortify it, I think. I didn't have time. Like, literally, I was just like scrambling to figure out what the fuck I was going to do. And I kind of showed up, not late, but, you know, I walked there from here, and I was still... But, I don't know. Should I have worn the costume and all that? KGB is such, like, an official thing. I kind of feel like I should have just, like, done it as myself. Like, it isn't really a cabaret. It is more of, like I said, a literary institution. It's a place of, like, they appreciate, like, not, like, sober necessarily, but, like, it's more of, like, an Iowa City place than, like, a gutter poet place. It's not, they like having, you know, capital G good writers there. It's like a lot of MFA programs do their graduation readings there, or, you know, people in the Paris Review, people who are professors, people who are in the Kenyon Review and shit read at KGB. It's not, I wouldn't say it's avant-garde at all, as far as I know. I mean, like I said, writers and sort of young people, like I said, all the alt-lit people have done shit there. I think because it's in Manhattan, it's in the East Village, you know, which is a good location, but it's also not a good location because, like I said, the whole fucking scene is in Bed-Stuy or somewhere in Brooklyn, you know. Everybody lives somewhere in Brooklyn. Really. It's that simple, you know. In the youth, real edge, good literature scene, in arts and everything, they all live basically in Bed-Stuy at this point, as far as I can see. I mean, a lot of people live in Ridgewood, but I didn't really get that, to be honest. I mean, Bed-Stuy, you really do feel like a gentrifier there, like, and that I don't really like about it. Like, it does feel a little bit like, come on, this is like, it's a traditionally black community, and don't fuck it up by making the rents go up and, like, making it some stupid, you know, condo white people area with Starbucks and shit, which I'm sure it will be probably 5 years from now. Probably that whole Bedford Nostrand stop is funky and cool, man. It's awesome. That Harold and Maude Vintage and what was it, Samurai, whatever the fuck that, like, there's really cool shit all around there. Like, I would love to live out there. All the fucking terrible gentrifying young people would probably. But I live in fucking, you know, Google Disneyland. The technocracy. That's my fucking, you know, burden. I got, you know, so I'm being, this is like I'm the Harvey P. Carr of downtown, you know, I'm like this young curmudgeon. In fact, that can be my rap name, Young Curmudgeon. See, like, getting to this point of relaxation and getting to this point of, like, ease in conversation in person, I don't want it to be, like, just, like, a conversation. Like, I don't want it to be like, oh, this is, like, live at the NYPL, and I'm just, like, or Joe's Pub or something. I want it to be, it's got to be like David Anton level, or not level, but you know, kind of like he says, he's not asking for applause. That's not the game he's in. It's not a value judgment thing. So like my friend, when she read after her first poem, she's like, because people were applauding after every poem because they're good, and they have that kind of push to them, you know, when they end, it's like, yes, you know, like fucking well done. And so a lot of poets do this where they say, you know, you can hold off your applause till the end. You don't need to applaud. Eileen Myles did this when they read. You get into a weird place where you're like, do I applaud? Do I not applaud? And some poems are applause worthy and some poems aren't. And a lot of my poems aren't. Most of them aren't, I would say. In fact, none of them are, I would say. Most of my endings are kind of like, I'm trying to like push away from the dock or something. It's not, I don't wait around enough for my writing to like, I don't know, I want there to be like a flexibility and like kind of a, noodling melody, not like a noodling melody, but like kind of an endless melody. And just like a modulation. And it's meant to be like a mind transcription. This is something I didn't really get across, but that's the general vibe. I'm not necessarily trying to go like everything we've been. My constant thing with our thing in our culture is everything has to be so extreme. It has to be so dramatic. It has to be like with movies and with poetry. It has to be about your rape, or you know, not that I'm against that, but like how much pain, and it's that's sort of encouraging you not necessarily to have painful experiences, but like if you have painful experiences, it's like, well, there you go, now you can write a great poem about it, and the more of those you have, oh great, dig up all your fucking trauma and shit, and not. And that's a good thing for poetry, to be honest. That is like part of what poetry is, absolutely like therapeutic, I would say. And I think that's healthy and good to write about that stuff. All I'm saying is like everything in our culture demands like immediate recognizability and likability, and also just kind of like, well, I don't know. I guess I'm just talking I'm trying to like justify my own laziness and like mediocrity. I don't know. When I write this shit, I'm like, it's the best I can do. I think I've tried to do it the other way, where like I really like spend a lot of time and wait around. I guess my writing was probably a lot stronger around like 2012, 2013, before I started smoking weed a lot. And in fact, all of my problems, maybe I could attribute to just like the fact that I smoked tons of weed. Like all my social problems, even my professional problems, the weirdnesses I have with people, my lack of success. I might improve a lot if I just stopped smoking weed. My readings might actually be good because I'm way more confident, to be honest. I don't even know why I do it, because it's just fun. I don't know. It feels good. It lubricates time, you know? And to some extent the work. I think writing high is not a bad thing, but editing sober is probably good, and writing sober is probably good too. And reading sober. I don't, you know, like, God, I gotta stop saying, you know. Performing high, it hasn't really. I'm kind of afraid to find out what it would be like if I wasn't high. Like, with poetry, it might not be a big deal. With music, it felt like I had to be high. Because the music we were playing was more, it wasn't as rigid as the music that I used to play when I was sober, that like kind of had its own skeletal kind of structural integrity, that would like, the songs, you would play them from start to finish, and that would like kind of give you something to do that had like a tension or a not a difficulty, but like whereas like the songs I wrote when I smoked weed were like vamps, D, the whole fucking song is just a D chord basically. If you're not high and sort of modulating and going wild within that, I don't know, it feels like that's what makes it animated and gives it juice and emotional. You feel it. Whereas you have to play it to feel it when you're not high. And so you have to have something that's like a little bit more, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's how music's supposed to be. Obviously, everybody would feel that way, but I am after the fountain of youth. I'm after the lost city of gold. We may never find it. We'll get lost out here in these jungles. That was the other thing. I watched that Werner Herzog interview. And he's a man. I don't know. Like Bob, it's like Bob likes Red Fox. On his fucking show, he's like, Ronald Reagan, friend of the black man. He's talking about how Nixon is misunderstood and shit. Ronald Reagan makes more of a point on his radio show to sympathize with Republicans. Ronald Reagan, friend of the black man. He talks about, because Ronald Reagan divested from, I think it was like South African currency or something. They wouldn't acknowledge it, or I don't know, something. And so that made like, I guess that put pressure because of apartheid. And I didn't know this, and I'm not sure what the real story is, but supposedly just because the Reagan administration did not like apartheid, they did this economic policy, and it was one of the things that led to the end of apartheid, supposedly, according to Bob. Ronald Reagan, friend of the black man. And so, I don't know, I've been in Ohio for a fucking year, and I've got country blues energy, I've got rock and roll kind of devil energy, I've got Jerry Lee Lewis energy. And so all of that came into the reading, all of like the toxic aspects of Frankly Fabulous and the bad guy. And honestly, I hate to say this, and this is horrible, but putting the suit on, putting the hat on, and the glasses, I literally haven't done that in 4 or 5 years, and to be honest, it brought out Trump shit, because the Frankly Fabulous character, when we were doing the wrestling, was like a Trump lampoon. Very misguided, and we had to obviously put that away. And it was not intentional, but I'm wearing the suit and I've got the hat on, and I don't know, I mean, Trump's just a riff master. His rallies and shit, I mean, that's all he does is get up and run his fucking mouth and have this kind of disjointed word salad collage of random thoughts and whatever points he wants to make. And so, before Trump, performing as Frankly Fabulous was cool, it was okay. Didn't feel like way inappropriate or out of bounds. And now, I didn't, like I said, that was not intentional at all. It was just something that happened because of the fucking costume. And I'm up there and there's this podium. And so I'm on the podium and I'm like talking and shit. And so I'm like, oh my God. My mind just kind of grazed. I had the faintest thought of like, oh my God, I'm doing Trump gestures. And I sound like Trump. Like, oh fuck. This is not what I'm intending. I'm like doing this and stuff. It's like, oh God. I can't acknowledge that because it'll just be too weird. I did mention that we haven't really gotten to party and have fun since we got a new president. But that was about as close as I got to it. But like I said, I've been in Ohio. I've been in my mom's living room. I made that point, so I think people kind of understood. Like, not that I feel rusty, I actually feel like weirdly kind of practiced because I've been doing this a lot. I've been really committed to this, and I talk for basically 4 hours a week, average, I'd say, for about a year at this point. That's, I'm pretty, my muscles are strong in that sense. I've been working on that. That is the one thing I have been working on. So I wanted to bring that and try that in front of people. I had this chunk of time, and I just thought, I have this chunk of time. I'm going to do what I want with it. I'm going to experiment. I'm going to try some shit. My writing is in a certain way experimental, and it's process-oriented. The way it's dated, and it's my... But also, one thing I didn't get to mention, I wanted to make the point that, like, the I in my poems is not necessarily me. A lot of people say this on Twitter and shit. This is like a meme. The I in my poems and then me. Like, that was part of doing the Frankly Fabulous. And like I said, I didn't set it up right. I just introduced it as me. And then I came up and it's just like, what the fuck? If I would have sold it in the character, maybe people would have reacted different. And that would have maybe put me over. But, like, just putting it like, this is me, I'm this super toxic, like, devil character. But I didn't really get to make the point that, like, when I say this stuff in these poems, it's like, well, why do other authors get to use that? Other authors say, the I in the poem is not me. It's like, well, same here. The I in the poem is Frankly Fabulous. Or Frankly Fabulous is a way to, emblemize that. This is the I, this is the character. Not necessarily that is the character in the poems. So that's why, maybe it doesn't really jive like I thought it would. I don't know. I thought I'd just try it downtown. I thought it was kind of a downtown thing to do, to, like, have this character that I do. And I thought maybe people would, just love it. I thought they'd be like, oh, what's this Frankly Fabulous. But I just, like I said, I didn't set it up right. And I don't know. I don't even think I really want to do it, to be honest. Like, I think I can just be myself. Like, I don't need a fucking costume and all this shit. Like, I don't know. Bob wears weird cowboy shit, and he's a character. So I was kind of in that mode. I was like, I need a hat. I need, like, a suit. Like I'm, like I'm some fucking theme time radio hour, like, 50s R&B guy or something. I'm Big Joe Turner or whatever. Or I'm, Porter Wagner. Bob, God, I gotta stop saying, Bob admires those show, and he said something about if you got a nickname, stick with it. So I thought, okay, maybe Frankly Fabulous is just the thing, but also my hair's long, so it didn't really fit under the hat. That was kind of a weird look. I looked like, I don't know, like I said, Charlie Daniels, but without a beard. It was cool. I'm proud of it, but I didn't necessarily make the splash that I wanted to make. Or, I don't know. I didn't nail it. Well, it's hard to say because I'm kind of getting trapped. Not getting trapped, but I'm kind of getting into a similar situation to the way where I was before, where, not to go too into it, but I wasn't really able to socialize as much as I would have liked, maybe my performance was just too weird, and maybe people were not. I talked to a couple people afterwards. There was this one really cool guy who had been writing in his notebook. We talked briefly, but I don't know. My energy, like I said, it's been weird because I've just been wounded and emotional, and we're all re-entering after the pandemic, and to be honest, it hasn't been what in certain ways, I'd say, yeah, I guess it has been exactly what I would have wanted and dreamt. Like, all my poetry life is going amazing, to be honest. Like, I have amazing books. I have an amazing place to do it. Maybe I'll change the angle. I have, I'm going to events constantly. I'm doing a fucking reading at KGB bar. Like, awesome. Hold on, let me put this down for a second. Like I'm meeting poets, I'm writing, I'm publishing books. I mean, I did get a really exciting thing. So my friend who but other things about the pandemic, like my love life has just been like nothing. I've been on all these fucking dates, it's just gone nowhere. And so I'm really frustrated with that. And also just like my friends and my personal life. I mean, my brother and I were texting the other day, so that's good. He reached out to me. After doing the event, there was like a catharsis. People, I think, that couldn't like the posts initially, them seeing that I'm out and I'm doing my thing, I think it gave them some sense of like, okay, cool, this guy's back and good for him, and we can like my brother, I think it just gave him permission to like, I mean, he didn't like any of my posts, but he looks at my stories and shit and he sees it. And that's, with social media, that's kind of like, I think, what really matters. Not that it matters, but like, you have to get over the like shit. And it's stupid. It's just polluted. There shouldn't even be likes, to be honest. I hate it. I hate likes. It should just be about posting stuff and maybe comments. But just even showing people the shit, I think, is important. Like, people know about it. Maybe they won't like it because of the politics of all that, but they like it. They love you. Everybody who's your friend loves you. And the fact that you're doing shit. And so, posting it, I did get, over the course of all of my posts, I got great likes. I got likes from tons of amazing people. And the fact that they, like I said, Thurston Moore looked at my story. He saw my zine. Not that it's necessarily a zine, but he saw my book. He looked at my story, so I'm doing something right. I'm on the right track. I know I am. Even though it's hard and it's painful and it's not, I mean, especially for me, it's not just like some validation train where I'm just like getting the express ride to the top. It's just like, this whole thing has been, my whole life in poetry, since I started doing it, has been very painful, and it's been nothing but failure. I don't know why I'm getting like support to do this. Maybe just because I want it so bad, but I'm not any good at it. Why am I able to, I mean, just because I'm self-obsessed and I just sink my whole life into this, I guess that's manifestation. But it also feels like, some kind of permission or validation from something, that I'm given the opportunity to do this in this way and to keep doing it. So, like I said, I got a lot of likes from cool people over the course of everything, not necessarily that everybody liked everything, but hey, for a year I've been having to watch people rub shit in my face. So here's, you might not support it. You didn't come out. You didn't like the post, whatever. I fucking did it anyway. It was a success. There was, like I said, 20 people there that I didn't know. They had a good time. I sold a few books. I made, I think, $15. I went with 6 books. I have 1 left. I gave a couple people books for free. And then I got paid $5 a piece for a few other ones. So I made $15. Not that people think I'm any kind of like knockout genius or anything. But it was, I mean, it weirdly attracted a lot of people on the same wavelength. It attracted writers who published their own shit, zine makers, kind of outsiders. And, like, I don't know. I feel like as much as I'm trying to be an insider and I'm trying to get into kind of like the New York elite poetry world, at least avant-garde, and I'm basically there. I haven't really, like, penetrated to the inner sanctums or, like, even had conversations with anybody, but I'm there. Like, I'm beginning to show up. But the thing is, I've so done it my own way. I've done it on my own for 10 years, more than 10 years at this point. And it's been a whole journey. I've been an outsider the whole time, and I've been a creature of open mics and magazines that, and bars, readings and bars on the Lower East Side, to be honest. Dorian Gray, KGB, fucking, and the haunts of the different poets, Tip Top, Much More's, San Francisco, Paris, LA, Beyond Baroque, Beatnik Cafe, Columbus, Poets Forum, Reading in a Cave, and this is my world. Boston, this is what I do. I don't get booked. I'm an autodidact in a lot of ways. I don't really even do workshops. I have some poet friends, but even my poet friends are the outsiders. I don't really know anybody that's like that cool or connected, to be honest. I'm not that close with anybody. I mean, even the people that I work with, like, I'm still kind of like this remote kind of, I'm not that involved. I'd like to be, but they've had a whole thing together. I'm like, I've been off on my own doing my own thing for 10 years, but especially over the last 4 or 5 years, booking my own readings, booking people, publishing my own magazine. I'm adjacent to the New York scene, and there's a lot of scenes within New York, most of which, to be honest, I don't really like. And it's not even worth the time, to be honest. Like, there's just so many poets here that are cool, and I'd be friends with them, but, like, I just don't really share an affinity with their work or their scene. I think I've found the scene that I like to be a part of and that I'm adjacent to, but I'm also between that and these outsider poets, like all the people who came to the reading, the zine makers, people writing in notebooks, people doing open mics. I met this guy from Israel who does open mics and shit, who had some really interesting things to say. He, like hostel. People stay in hostels, world travelers. Those are, I'm on that circuit in a lot of ways. Just kind of street poets, obviously. That's kind of my gimmick, or part of it. And that's what this reading was about. We booked it. It was on East 4th Street. This is my, I'm bringing the streets into the room, into KGB. And after the fucking pandemic and shit, I don't know, it felt, why not? I just felt like my whole reading was about New York. That wasn't a bad subject. That wasn't a bad thing to center on. Even if it was kind of exhaustive within the 27 minutes. Like, I think that was important to put that little miniature scale model of the city in front of everybody, especially after the pandemic, and to sort of reestablish my own. I mean, I've written, most of my work over the past few years has been about other places. I've written my West Coast books, Spokane, San Francisco, LA. I've written a lot about Columbus, and I was in Columbus for a long time when I didn't want to be. Wrote about Paris. I haven't really gotten to do my New York book. I've been living outside of New York, and it felt that way, when I was with my ex. Even it felt like we were closer. I have more poet friends, honestly, in LA, in a fucking crazy way at this point, who I'm actually in contact with. All my poet friends in New York fucking hate me, or they don't want to talk to me, or I don't even know what. Everybody in New York just thinks, I don't know. I don't talk to any of them. Hannah, who I read with, is from fucking L.A. I met the fucking poets I met in that reading I did a few months ago from L.A. Poets I knew in New York moved to L.A. Beyond Baroque. Beyond Baroque has this job. It's like a fellowship, and it's $18,000 a year, and basically you help them do events. You curate stuff, and it's like, man, I think they said it's 20 hours a week or something. It's like, that would be the perfect job for me, to be honest. Like, I wouldn't do that. I mean, should I, in a different life, am I doing that? If I made $18,000 a year, I guarantee you I could live in Venice Beach and, like, make it work. Like, I could supplement it with video and sort of odd jobs. Like, I could make that work. And I'd actually have a fucking status. I'd be getting paid to do it. And I could do what I'm already doing. And I'd have better resources. I have the energy. I have the ideas. I have the connections in a weird way. I mean, Beyond Baroque really needs to bring in more people from New York and more people from LA. That's why I thought it was important for my friend to do this reading here, because more people from LA need to establish themselves here. There needs to, there's so much transaction between the two places in other arts, movies, music, whatever. But with poetry, LA's kind of in its weird island. Like, you can totally be famous and, like, worshipped out there, and nobody knows who you are anywhere else. And even you're neglected out there. Like that Bill Moore guy, he's not really that appreciated there. And it's like, that dude needs to be on the national map in a bigger way, because he's the scholar of that place. And all these poets, Harry Northup and Holly Prado and all of them, Michael C. Ford, they're just like, they're kind of the people out there, but it's almost like the New York school. Like, maybe people just don't know them outside of that place, But they should absolutely, I mean, Michael C. Ford, Harry Northup, and all of the LA people should be doing readings here. Like, with San Francisco, there's a lot of transaction. I mean, it's also isolated and it's hard to get there, but there's more. Whereas LA is kind of, it's not even that connected with San Francisco, I feel like, in a literary. It's its own style. It's more, everything in Hollywood is driven by money and likes and legibility and all of this stuff and economy of story and all of that. And so the poetry is very, like, furnished and, like, plain spoken and effective, and it's just clean. But it's also, like, oaky and kind of middle American, because all of that energy went out there too. So I don't have an affinity. I do have an affinity with certain people out there, but I don't really want. I don't think that they would give me that job, for one thing, probably because I'm a white male, and just, like, that's not who they're trying to hire, and that's not who they're trying to bring in. They want to bring in. They can't give. I don't know. I don't know who's going to apply for that job, but, like, what, they're going to bring in a guy from New York? There's so many people in LA that work hard on the poetry scene out there and have events and get people out, and it is very diverse out there in a way that, like, New York is too, but, like, it's more ingrained with the like, New Yorican is ingrained with, like, Bowery Poetry and Poetry Project, but it's also kind of, the slam thing is a little bit of its own circuit. Whereas, like, LA, if you go to any open mic, chances are there's going to be elements of that. And that's more a presence in the kind of, like, all of the poetry, I think, that defines what I would say LA is and what's going on out there. It's just like, it's more normal. It's just a part of, like, Amanda Gorman, LA, she started at Beyond Baroque, and, like, there is it's not like it's slam, but it's kind of between the two. Like, there's elements of it that are just, like, very effective, almost like performative oratory, but it's also like written like it's on the Writer's Almanac or something. So a lot of the work out there kind of has more of that. New York, it's like you kind of go one or the other. You're like, at least, as far as I've seen, you're either like slam or you're like a poet, and you don't really do performance at all. So me, it's like, not that I've ever done slam per se, but like there is a performative aspect to what I do that probably has more in common with that. I mean, I don't like deliver. That's what I'm realizing. I'm not like delivering like these gnarly hard truths like all these other poets do. I think I am. Maybe I think I'm better at getting there when I'm ranting or I'm talking. But I don't know, maybe in a year or two, maybe that would be, if they're still doing this fellowship, that could be like a good next thing for me. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what my future is going to be at all. After this situation, I have no fucking clue. So I'm using this time to get out there. Like, I'm throwing myself into this poetry thing completely. I fucking made these flyers. I made the books. We did the reading. It was a big thing. We doubled down on it. We didn't book anybody else. We didn't do an open mic. We said, hey, this is us. This is our reading. We're the featured. We're both going to do 25 minutes. And I think she said she had 22 minutes. And I had no clue what I was going to do. My goal was to do 20, 25 minutes. And hold the audience's attention. And I did. I did 27 minutes. I don't know. In a certain way, I feel like I've already created so much fucking... It's just weird for me how the LA thing is so... There's so much like brightness for me in a way. Like I could get this... If I applied for this job, maybe I could get this job. And I know all these poets. And it feels like a place I could kind of like... I love New York. I want to be accepted here. I want to be here. I love where I am. I love being involved with it. It couldn't be any better, to be honest. It's a dream come true. I mean, I'm not necessarily making a living like I could be if I were in that situation. And there's not there's a lot of qualified people here, to be honest. I mean, all of the most fucking qualified people are here for the most part. Either here, yeah, pretty much here, or at some university. But I'm pretty low down on the fucking, totem pole. And I have my niche, and I'm in a tradition that I'm aware of. Like, I'm in the rent-controlled kind of like poetaster. Just like, like these guys on the Lower East Side, fucking like 12th Street, I print my books, I edit my magazine, I have rent-controlled apartment, I go to reading, I go to Poetry Project, I host readings, I travel, I meet poets, I hang with poets, I read poetry, I publish other, it's like, this is right. I'd love to have more security. I'd love to have more acceptance and actually do it. I mean, I'm sort of living anachronism. Everybody, like I said, is in Bed-Stuy, and I'm kind of isolated here. A lot of the older poets live in Manhattan because they've lived here since the 70s and they've held on to their rent-controlled apartments. I'm sort of like one of them in the way that I'm sort of a boomer culture rehash and sort of a dad rock poet. But I'm trying to totally embed myself and just live it 24 fucking 7. And filming is a part of that. So if I can get on my feet and do it here, I'm obviously going to go to the distance with that. I don't know. LA is just, it's always like a thing. But it's just one of the things on the radar. If they keep doing this fellowship position, obviously I'm not doing it now. But a year, 2 years from now, 3 years from, who knows? Like, that's an option. It would, I'm not trying, whatever, it'd be great to get rich, it'd be great to be successful, but, and I don't even, it would just be nice to be able to do this and have, like, financial, security, for lack of a, not that $18,000 is that much security, but it's some, and especially to only work part-time, and especially to work part-time on something that, like, you're already doing. And it would be nice to have institutional resources and connections and that kind of pull. I mean, I'd like to definitely, and I feel remiss that I haven't been able to study what the Poetry Project has been doing for the past few years, because their programming has been as innovative and brilliant as anywhere. And so, just, I feel like I've missed out on a lot of education, and, obviously I've seen what I've been able to see, and I've been doing my own thing, but also filming. My own thing has been about studying the past, though. Like, I'm reading all this stuff from the 50s and 60s and 70s, and I'm not living necessarily with my peers, like, and I'd like to shift to that, I think. That's kind of what I'm trying to do now. Not that I'm going to stop reading or studying older stuff, but having the companion of, like, the contemporary life, being around poets that are writing up to the minute and thinking up to the minute and making books with them, doing readings with them, traveling with them, etc., spending time hanging out, living it 24/7 with others. I've been just so isolated. I would love to share this with people. And that's all I've ever wanted, is just to be around people that get this, because the idea is they're kind of sane in an insane world. The world is kind of turned inside out. The only people with the correct values are this small minority of people who read poetry, like Wallace Shawn says, the readers of poetry. That was part of the guy's presentation on Friday. Was he grew up in central Pennsylvania, so all the food he ate was completely poisonous, and he had to learn about food and mushrooms and things just so he could nourish himself. It's the same thing with me. Like where I came from is just so backwards. And so I was bringing a lot of that energy into the reading last night. I was totally bringing Ohio energy. I just came in like a flamethrower. And it was big time Frankly Fabulous shit. It was a classic Frankly Fabulous performance, to be honest. But maybe that's not. I'm glad I got it done. I probably won't do that again, to be honest. It wasn't what I'm trying to do. That character in the suit and everything just kind of brought out. It's just not necessary. Like, it's about me, or it's just about life. It's about natural living and reality and being yourself. The Frankly Fabulous thing is not really necessary. I need to get a fucking camera so bad, because I should have been filming all of this stuff. I mean, I have the reading, but, like, I should have filmed everything that's been happening to me. Like I said, I went to Bed-Stuy today. I watched this fucking basketball game. I was walking by, and it was like one of those games where, like, one of those and one games where, like, they have a guy with a microphone on the side of the court, and it was awesome. Oh my god, I watched 2 quarters. It was amazing. The guy's, like, doing live commentary while they're playing, and it was beautiful. I would like go and watch these games, to be honest. It was so entertaining, and having the guy with the microphone, who's kind of like an MC, like, it's not necessarily like commentary, and it's not necessarily like MC. It's kind of like, that's kind of why I was interested in it, because his energy's kind of going with the game, and he's commenting on the game. Marv, 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 Marv. Nothing there. Take it upstairs. Take it upstairs. Spinning through traffic. He's spinning through traffic. You know, there was all this great language, and it was just such a great community activity, you know. All these people were watching, and they were good, you know. It was dope as shit. Like, it started to sprinkle a little bit, so that's why I left, but this guy goes, "You look smacked," to this other guy. "You look smacked." You know, that's something, I don't know, Bob is always like picking up language and stuff. And picking up the reality of the streets as you're walking around, listening to what people are saying, hearing the slang. I mean, New York, it's just you're constantly coming upon interesting things to see, interesting performances. Like I said, this was like a basketball game. Guy's got the microphone. I'm trying to learn from that. I want to be that guy. Let me just do that like on the street or something. Do a live commentary on just like what's going on. That'd be kind of a funny thing to do in Washington Square Park, just like live talking about people walking by or something. "You look smacked." You know, and they're smoking weed and shit. It's like, hell yeah. The dude next to me lit up a fucking joint. It's like, yeah, this is sweet. I would come and watch this, you know, if they do this regularly. Like, this is fucking entertainment, man. Listen to guys talk to each other in the park. It's fucking awesome. You know, that's what I do all day. I just walk through the city collecting, overhearing conversations, seeing people, looking at people, capturing it. So, the good thing that happened was, well, I was just being pouty. I don't know. It was weird how when I made myself vulnerable, that happens so rarely. That's when things, I guess that's stepping out of your comfort zone, making the posts. But also, okay, so when I posted this thing about, you know, thanks for your support to this group of people on Facebook, this poetry group. Oh, after a tough year, I would have thought there'd be more support. And to be honest, I haven't looked at the post since, because I'm kind of afraid to see what the responses are, to be honest. I don't know. It was just kind of a hit and run. But anyway, my friend sent me a message saying, "Hey, I'm really sorry. I wish I could be there. I'm having friends over for dinner, blah, blah." You know, it's like, yeah. I mean, my comment was not aimed at him at all. It was more about how people didn't like it. It's like, God, it's going to kill you to just like fucking like this post. Like, I know you get an alert about this group, because I do. I get an alert every fucking time anything is posted on this. And literally nobody fucking liked it. I'm just like, God damn. Like, people think I'm the bad guy because of just my relationship and just the weirdness, the way I perform. And like, I mean, social media is not a good way to go looking for validation or happiness or love or anything, but it's just where we're all forced to be right now because of the fucking pandemic. And God, I hope it's bright enough. Can I open it up? Hold on. No, it's about the same. And that was part of what I wanted to talk about in my performance. Just like, God, it doesn't seem like things are changing. It seems like things are going back to the way that they were, only worse. People are like more closed off. They're more like, now we're back to like the rush and like the work thing and the busy and like torturous like slave wage, commute, office, schlep. And still people are going to be like assholes to each other, and even more like withholding of just like mutual support or affection. There's not going to be any honesty. There's not going to be any vulnerability. There's not going to be any like reassessment of our social connections and how those happen. Really, it's gonna go right. That's what I feel like the dating has been the same, if not worse. People are still just like closed off in their protection and their just nobody's having any fun. I'm not having that much fun. I have fun, but nobody else has fun. I'm the only one. Everybody else is just looking at their phone. I'm at least trying to be animated and like a life force. If nothing else, like we should be in panic mode because like our world is crumbling and dying. And so my performance, even though it doesn't have the same target, like Trump, it was just such an easy target. Now it's like, okay, what are you screaming about? But it does feel like we need to scream. I mean, we just went through this fucking pandemic and shit. Like we need to talk about this. We need to break this open. And I don't know, talking about the gentrification and blah 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 in New York, that was sort of a roundabout way. I didn't want to talk about the pandemic specifically, but New York was kind of the center of the pandemic, and like I don't know, not to sentimentalize it or brand it or market it any more than it already is, but I've been allowed back in a really beautiful way, and so my book is sort of a tribute to that, just the fact that I've been able to spend time here. In the same way that my books in Ohio were about Clintonville and walking around Clintonville and walking around the forest and being around my mom and the politics out there, this is the same thing, it's walking around Manhattan. This is my Oldentangy now. And it's the same. I really do about the same thing. I go on a few hour-long walks a day by myself, sort of. It's just there's more to see, or more people and more buildings and blah, blah, blah. It's kind of similar. There's a river about a block or two away that way. It's, I've got the same size apartment in a way. So anyway, good things did come out of this. That's the lesson, I suppose, of like putting yourself on the line, putting yourself out there. I mean, it was hard. I mean, the girl that I invited, I don't think was that impressed. She didn't seem that into it. She seemed like everybody, she liked my friend's work better. She said she would buy a book of it. She'd read a book of it. She didn't ask about my book. I didn't want to give her my book because there's stuff about dating in it. And like, I don't want her to read it and be like, I don't know. But I saw the shit that she does, and like, not that she does, but she's been in bands and shit, and like my shit is way doper than not to be judged. I like her shit is cool too, and like she's awesome. She's a really cool person. And I think she's amazing. But like, just on a creative level, I mean, I'm really committed to this, and I'm doing it my own way. With my own tools and my own know-how, even doing this shit. It's like, this is kind of fucking ghetto, but it's like, it's me, and I love. That's what I'm after. It's my drawing, it's my hand, it's my thoughts, it's the way I want to do it. It's the book I would want to read. Frankly, it's a diary. It's like light poetry. It's not bad. It's not like Tyler Not Gregson or some bullshit. It's not trying to be like some super fucking transcendent, profound, pseudo-spiritual, insta-fucking bullshit. It's just like a field report. And it's, like I said, it's objectivist. It's about show, don't tell, in a way. It's a series of images and phrase images and thoughts and epiphanies and comments and milieus and descriptions and jokes. A lot of jokes. Memories, things I've seen. And so, okay, I got some great likes. People know. And I did it. I'm back. I'm on the map. I read at KGB. I had a featured set at fucking KGB in New York City. Like, I got it done. As soon as the pandemic was over, I'm back and I did it. Like, this is amazing, actually. It's amazing how quickly things are happening and how dream-like. Like, that is like a bucket list item completely. The fact that I was even able to do that. You know, the prize, if you won the open mic, which a couple of my friends did, to be honest. A couple of people I went to KGB with won the open mic. I never even placed in it. Fucking jerks. Because I was doing something different than everybody else. I wasn't just writing boring, you know, emotional, meaningful poetry. I was being a spaz and writing dribble. Amateur dribble. Drivel! The prize, if you won, is you get a reading at KGB with another poet of your choice. So I did that. I got to do it. I didn't even have to win the fucking open mic. And I did it. You know, I didn't have any support. My mom supported me. Love my mom. I thought she hated me too. That was another thing that was super emotional. When I posted the shit originally, my mom didn't comment on it. I was like, oh my God. Now my mom fucking hates me. Now everybody hates me. My brother turned my mom against me. My dad probably fucking hates me. All these poetry people goddamn hate me. My friends hate me. No one's going to come to my reading. My one friend I thought was in town from fucking Vermont. I'm like, this motherfucker's going to come to New York and not be at my reading? Like, I can't believe this. Like, how are you going to be in New York and not come to my fucking reading? I can't believe nobody came, honestly. Like, I would be curious. But people did come. I just didn't know any of them. Eli came. God bless him. One of my oldest friends. Because there was no reason for him to come. I haven't been that good about meeting up with him. You know? Because I've been so in my own world and just like getting from here, going downstairs and just doing it. I haven't gotten on the subway that much. So, you know, this was the first time I really did like 3 things in a row. You know, I had the reading, I had the filming, and then I went and hung out with my friends last night in Bed-Stuy. And so, like, I feel great, honestly. I had some hard kombucha. And I feel great. I don't feel hungover at all, to be honest. Hard kombucha is the answer. Because kombucha is already alcoholic. It's already like, I don't even know. Is it like 4%? I think it's at least like 1 or 2%. It's fermented. So basically, I've been drinking a alcoholic beverage every day. So these hard kombuchas are 7%. And I looked at the ingredients. It's just tea and bacteria and fucking that's it. You know, yeast cultures and probiotic. It's green tea, it's black tea, and I don't even think there was sugar in this. So it's maybe even more healthy than the fucking... So I got to believe that it wasn't the alcohol that made me hungover. It was the fact that I was drinking beer. The fact that it was grain alcohol. Because the hard kombucha, I feel great. I don't even feel hungover. When I was drinking those beers, I was hungover for 2 days. It wiped me the fuck out. But having a kombucha is like healthy. It's good for your digestive tract. So now whenever I have to drink, I guess I'll have a hard kombucha. So yeah, even though it's hard and like you're pushing, you know, this is something that I guess I'm trying to, you know, I'm orienting it toward my career, and it's hard. Like you have to accept these bumps. You have to accept, and pertaining to something you actually care about. You know, I was always projecting my efforts onto things I didn't really care if I succeeded that much. Like music, I know that I'm not like, you know, some great voice or something. Or at least like I'm not like, you know, Adam Levine or I don't even know, Justin Timberlake or whatever. I'm like, you know, I'm rough around the edges. So I don't know. Even though it sucks if people don't like what you're doing, like if I failed as a poet, I would feel I would take it really personally. It would hurt me, you know. It would be because it's something I care about, you know. So that's why I've always kind of protected that and been an outsider and been scared to really face that estimation. You know, I'm afraid to get involved because what if people just are going to deny this to me? What if people say this guy sucks? He's not one of us. I mean, I'll still do it. You know, that's one thing that I'm learning is just like I said, I'm part outsider. Even as I'm involved with the scene here, I'm also just kind of out on a limb. And I do such a weird thing. It's such a combination and like a schmelt of like comedy. It's like Richard Lewis, but like also, like I said, poetry stuff. But, and so even, not that my relationship was like it just happened. And so it kind of interfered with me just being solo out there doing it. Plus it was Trump years, so it was like, as a guy, it's just like, am I really gonna like put myself out there that much? Like, nah. Whereas now it's like, I don't know. We've been through the pandemic, like, fuck it. I'm gonna do what I want to do, you know. And I feel like doing this show, I know that I just want to say shit and say the shit that I don't see being said that needs to be said. And so there are rewards. Even though you take blows and it hurts, there are rewards. Just like all of this shit. You have to take the blows. And it does get through. Even though people are fickle with their validation, their likes. Oh, I can't like it. I'm not going to like it. They're fickle with them. And they're withholding. You know, they want to withhold their love for you. And I'm going to be wrapping up pretty soon. It's WFLF. I don't know. Am I still going to do the station identification? Maybe not. Maybe I'll kill that too. The death of Frankly Fabulous. Gotta kill off the character. Not kill it off, but I don't know. I just don't think it's necessary. I need to focus on my real life. My real poem. So for instance, I did all this, and so I got a very nice message from my friend who thought I was maybe talking to him when I was like, nobody supports me or whatever. He sent me a message, you know, I'm really sorry, I'd like to be there, but I have dinner, and he's like, he has a video blog that I've loved. You know, it's like one of my life's goals. I never in my, you know, wildest dreams would I expect that I'd actually get on this blog, because he's just like, you know, he's kind of a downtown legend, and I've written about him a lot, and, you know, I've known him for a few years because he always comes to the project, but we've become more friendly because he was at the open mic at KGB. He was like the feature, and so we talked there. And I told him about the readings at the project, and so we talked at the project, and so we become friends, you know. He's an awesome guy and an awesome poet, and his style is more classical, I would say. He's kind of like a Keats. He's great, you know, he really is. He's a great artist and human being, you know, and a legend. And he's got this video blog where these videos are really beautiful. He has, you know, I'm definitely influenced by it. Because he had my friend on, Greg, and he filmed him in his apartment reading, you know. He went over to his apartment and set up a camera just like this and had him reading from his book. And he's filmed a lot of, I mean, he's got great taste. He's filmed a lot of the poets I admire in New York, you know. Like really great poets, to be honest. Like his blog is like fucking amazing. Like, his videos are phenomenal, I have to say. Like, and so he asked me to be on it. He's like, I want to film you for my fucking video blog. So I'm like, all right. I mean, it's you know, it just happened. it wasn't, it was one of those things that you're always like, oh my God, this would be like a total dream to like be on this, but like you never actually would think about how it would actually come to pass. And it just happened very naturally. It just happened very organically. And like, it was because I made myself vulnerable in a way, because I like was emotional. You know, our whole life is just about being unemotional and being cool. And especially as a man, especially toxic masculinity, you can't show any emotion. You can't cry. You can't admit weakness. Like, you'll get killed. And yet, it did feel like the cave wall had broken in and the light was coming in. Because I was like, had this like eruption of like frustration. And it, like I said, with all this stuff, it's all social media. It was all fucking social media. It was all stuff that I saw on Instagram and Facebook, and not getting the likes or not getting people to look at it or this or that. And it's because they manipulate you. And so I've always looked for a way around it. I don't really like promoting stuff or doing Facebook events or any of that shit. And it didn't do any good. So if I would have just stayed off social media, would it put me in a better place? I don't know. Would I have done a better job? I don't know. Would I have been as wounded? Perhaps not. Maybe I could have been stronger and lighter and more vibrant, and but even doing it and even succeeding and getting over, I think. I mean, I'm still green. Like I said, that was my first feature really ever. And we just took it. We just did it, you know? That's what was punk rock about it. That's what was street about it. I didn't, you know, but I got it on tape. My friend Eli did a fucking amazing job filming it. God damn, he like did some zooms and shit. It's beautiful. It couldn't have gone any better, really. I mean, so I'm excited. I'm trying to get my shit together. I mean, I don't know if my work is really strong enough for this blog, to be honest. Like, I don't know how I'm going to read or what I'm going to read. I kind of know what I'm going to read. I don't know how long I asked him. He said he wants me to read from my book. To be honest, I'd probably like to read some Ohio stuff too, because he's from Pennsylvania. And I have some things that are maybe a little stronger. I don't know how long he's expecting to do the reading. Probably 20 minutes. I'm not sure how long he films people typically. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, maybe an hour. I don't even know if he likes my work or if he's ever even seen it or heard it. I think people like the cover. You know, they think the cover's beautiful. But if they read what was inside, they might reevaluate. That's why I need to become a cartoonist, because I think people like my drawings, but not my poems. And Don Yorty might not even like them, you know? I don't know. As far as I know, he saw me at the open mic read a couple things, which I don't think he was necessarily in love with. I think partially he's just trying to be nice to me. Hopefully he actually uses it. I hope it's good enough to actually be used. There's definitely some stuff in here that, like, I think he would like and would think is good. But I don't know. I'm going to have to, like, re-edit this and put some new shit in just so I have, like, 20, like, really solid minutes of, like, good shit. And I don't want to read a long piece that's but the cool thing, he invited me to do it at the church. So I'm going to meet him at the church on Wednesday before the reading. He's going to come because he came to the reading on Friday. And I'm going to meet him at the church before the reading. We're going to film it at the church. So that'll be super dope. Outside. And I'm really hoping I can rise to the occasion and do a great job. I don't know what it's going to be. he's kind of an actor and kind of a performer too. He's got this piece called Fucking, which is actually a lot classier and more graceful than that title would suggest. Even though it's a great title, I love this title. And it makes me feel an affinity with him and his sensibility and his work. His magnum opus is called Fucking. So I think he's in the vulgarity. And he told me some shit. You know, he's like, it's the East Village. You do whatever you want. He's been there since the 70s. He's wild. You know, maybe his poetry's more kind of like elegant and well done, but he's also like a wild dude, and like that's a side of me too, you know. And so hopefully I think it'll be great. I can't even believe it, you know. So I don't know, knock on wood, not that it's happened, but that's what I'm going to be doing for the next couple days, is sort of fixing. I mean, I gave a bunch of copies of this away, but I'm always making new drafts, and it's always changing. Every book is different. I think that's cool. I think that's part of the handmade thing. And so I'm going to go through my notebooks one more time. Like I said, I kind of had to rush this just to even get it done, because I wanted to have something at the reading. And I wanted, like I said, organize. This was my script, basically. I wanted to organize this stuff in my notebooks. But there's some pieces I missed, and there's some things I didn't get to. There's some things I could probably take out, other things I could probably add. And since it's called City Life, I kind of want it to be cohesive and be all about New York. There are some things in here that are a little bit not about that, and so I'll probably take some things out, put some things in. So I really have my A shit for Wednesday, because it really is a big thing, because he's known in this community, and like his blog is like, not that anybody's going to watch it. People will probably see it and be like, oh God, it's that guy. I'm not watching that. But the fact that I even get to do it, it's just like a dream come true, and it's a real honor, you know. It's one of the things, as far as like being like a real legit downtown, like New York poet, it's one of the fucking things that like, just forget about it, you know. Like if you're on this, like, this is it, you know. Like it doesn't get any fucking realer or more inside than this, to be honest. Like, and so it's like, but it's him. It's not an institutional thing, and he's got a great library, to be honest. And he was a real inspiration. He kind of got me the job at Poetry Project. The conversation that I first started having was with him and the director about his blog, because I was like, his videos are great, and he's a documenter of a lot of great readings. He takes his camera to a lot of stuff and makes wonderful videos that are just like, anybody who's a fan of poetry and New York poetry, like his blog is one of the excellent kind of like citizen reporter on the street, you know, DIY journalist, just on the beat, like he's Ouija downtown. He films readings, like he said, he sets things up in his apartment or other people's apartments. I kind of wanted him to do it here, because like, this is my rent-controlled apartment, but I like doing it at the church too. That match, I mean, what could be better than that? That's where he knows me from typically. That's kind of a more, I don't know, it's a more like neutral location, I guess. And it's just an amazing, I mean, it fits with everything that I've been trying to do, the Poet of the Streets thing. And so I'm really praying and hoping that I can do a good job. I'm really looking forward to it. So the next couple of days I'm going to be revising this, kind of shifting it around, getting exactly what I want to do. I'll probably do it sober, to be honest. After the Frankly Fabulous thing, I kind of got that out of my system. I don't think I'm going to go nuts at this reading. But I'll be rehearsing. That's what I'll be doing for the next few days. I'm actually going to rehearse and probably actually figure out exactly what I want to do, to be honest. Because I think it'll work if I do it sober. I think my problem is when I saturate myself in paranoia cannabinoids. Anyway, this has been the Frankly Fabulous Poetry Lives of the Poets. Sorry I don't have actual video. I gotta get a new iPhone like this week, because my life is just too lit, and I need to be putting together episodes of this stuff because it's already happening. I could have already made 2 or 3 episodes that would have just been dynamite. And I have the reading on film, so I'm going to upload that so you can watch Frankly Fabulous rated NC-17, uncensored, uncalled for, unwarranted, unwanted, unhinged, radical honesty. I don't know. I'm not even sure I get there. But check it out. That'll be debuting. I think I'm going to upload that either tomorrow or the next day. So that'll be a live premiere. Maybe I'll post this maybe first. Not that anybody watches any of it, but the reading, it's like all my poetry videos. It's a little hard to watch. It's a little too in your face. But whatever. It's like film. You got to watch the film if you're a football player and see what you can adjust, what you can do better next time. So I'll be watching the film, and I'll be Tom Bradying. Oh God, I don't know. I need to get around woke people more. I'm not around, the cutting edge thinking. That's why what I need to be. I need to be a bridge between the older poets and the older generation and the younger people. I think I can do that. I really think I can be a good hub and spoke for that. So it's all there. I see it. It's all there. I'm working my way through it. I'm having a hell of a time. I'm having a great time just living the dream fully, 24/7. Being a poet is a 24/7 job. And thank you for watching. We'll let you know. I mean, I'm going to be at New York Poetry Fest July 30th, I think. So we'll be doing another lit-ass set there. This year is just about, I'm trying to get my shit going. I'm going to book shows for me, and I'm going to fucking do them. What the fuck? There's no sense in, beating around the bush anymore and, hosting shit and booking other people, and it's like, no. I need 20 minutes. I need 30 minutes. I need star time. I'll make it happen. I'll get the audience. I'll get the viewers. I'm going to make this work. There's going to be a synergy. The advantage of being in downtown is I can reach tourists and a sort of transient audience. Like I said, all these people came to this reading. I didn't know who they were. Maybe that would have been the case in Bushwick or something, but it's possible I would have been playing to an empty room. So I can connect with huge groups of people here and tie that into social media. Like these people who are poets in fucking Washington Square Park, they've got 10,000 goddamn Instagram followers. If I up my video content, I'm already living it. I just need to film it, and that's what this summer is about. This is the summer of Frankly Fabulous. This is the comeback special, the return. Frankly Fabulous, the return. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for live from KGB, the Netflix special, Frankly Fabulous X, rated X, canceled. Thank you for watching. Good night.